Sometimes the most unexpected treasures come from years that feel recent enough to be ordinary. The 1988 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent penny is one of those coins that many people still remember handling in everyday transactions, dropping it into change jars, or ignoring it on sidewalks. Yet hidden among millions of perfectly normal cents from that year are rare error coins that have transformed this modest penny into a highly desirable collector's piece, with values ranging from $56,000 to as high as $135,500. BY 1988. The Lincoln cent had already become one of the most familiar coins in American life. The design had been in use for decades, and most people never thought twice about it. On the obverse appears the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a symbol of unity and resilience in U.S. history. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial design was still in use, presenting a clean and dignified look that emphasized stability and tradition. However, behind this sense of uniformity, the minting process itself was far from flawless. During the late 1980s, U.S. mints were producing billions of pennies each year to meet circulation demands. This enormous volume increased the likelihood of mechanical issues, human oversight, and material inconsistencies. While strict quality control systems were in place, they were not perfect. As a result, certain 1988 Lincoln cents left the mint with noticeable and sometimes dramatic errors, slipping unnoticed into circulation and eventually into the hands of collectors. One of the most sought-after errors on the 1988 Lincoln cent is the double die error. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin receives a misaligned impression during its creation, resulting in doubled elements on the finished coin. On genuine double die examples, collectors may observe clear doubling on the date 1988, the word liberty, or the phrase "In God We Trust." Unlike damage caused after circulation, this type of doubling is sharp and intentional looking, making it a true mint error. Strong double die examples from 1988 are among the most valuable, often commanding prices near the upper end of the $135,500 range. Another notable error found on some 1988 pennies is the off-center strike. This happens when the blank planchet is not properly seated during the striking process, causing part of the design to be missing while leaving an empty crescent of exposed metal. The value of these coins depends heavily on how dramatic the offset is. Slightly off-center coins may be interesting but relatively affordable, while examples with 30% to 50% of the design missing, yet still showing a visible date, can be extremely valuable and highly collectible. Clipped planchet errors also appear among 1988 Lincoln cents. These errors occur when the metal strip used to punch out coin blanks is misfed, resulting in a piece of metal being missing from the edge of the coin. The missing section may be curved or straight, depending on how the error occurred. Authentic clips often show metal flow distortion near the missing area, which helps experts distinguish genuine mint errors from post-mint damage. Well-preserved clipped planchet cents from 1988 can fetch impressive prices, especially when combined with minimal wear. Another category of errors involves die cracks and die breaks. Over time, the dies used to strike coins can develop fractures due to repeated stress. When a cracked die is used, the coin may show raised lines or blobs of metal where the crack allowed metal to flow into the gap. Some 1988 cents display dramatic die breaks, sometimes called cuds, where a portion of the die has broken away entirely. These bold errors are visually striking and appeal strongly to collectors who favor unusual and easily recognizable defects. Metal composition errors also play a role in the value of certain 1988 Lincoln cents. By this time, pennies were primarily made of zinc with a thin copper plating. Occasionally, mistakes occurred during the preparation of planchets, resulting in cents with improper plating thickness or incomplete copper coverage. These coins may show exposed zinc areas, uneven coloration, or unusual surface textures. While subtle, such errors are highly desirable when confirmed by professional grading services. Condition is one of the most important factors influencing the value of any 1988 Lincoln cent error coin. Coins that have circulated heavily may still be collectible if the error is dramatic, but they generally command lower prices. In contrast, uncirculated examples with full original luster, sharp details, and no post-mint damage are the ones that reach the highest valuations. When a strong error is paired with near-perfect preservation, the price can climb rapidly into six-figure territory. Professional certification is critical in today's market. Reputable grading companies authenticate the error, assess the condition, and encapsulate the coin in a protective holder. This not only protects the coin but also provides buyers with confidence, which directly impacts market value. Many of the highest-priced 1988 Lincoln cent errors sold at auction were certified examples with clearly documented mint errors. What makes the story of the 1988 Lincoln cent particularly compelling is how many of these coins were discovered long after they were minted. Some were found in rolls saved by collectors, others in old jars of spare change, and a few even surfaced during routine coin searches by people who never expected to find anything valuable. These discoveries highlight the idea that numismatic treasures can still be hiding in plain sight. The market for modern era coins has grown steadily as collectors have become more educated and appreciative of minting anomalies. The 1988 Lincoln cent occupies an interesting position because it is old enough to be scarce in high-grade era form, yet recent enough that examples can still be found by diligent searchers. This balance keeps demand strong and prices competitive. It is important to remember that not every 1988 penny is valuable. The vast majority are worth only 1 cent. However, the presence of rare errors transforms a small number of these coins into significant collectibles. Understanding the difference between genuine mint errors and damage caused after circulation is essential for anyone hoping to identify a valuable example. In the end, the 1988 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent penny error coin represents much more than a simple monetary anomaly. It tells a story of mass production, mechanical imperfection, and unexpected rarity. With values ranging from $56,000 to $135,500, these coins remind collectors and casual observers alike that even the most ordinary objects can carry extraordinary value when history, error, and preservation come together in just the right way. Sometimes value hides in the most ordinary places, and the 2012 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent penny proves that even in the modern era of advanced minting technology, remarkable mistakes can still slip through unnoticed. While millions of pennies were produced that year for everyday use, a very small number carried unusual errors that quietly entered circulation. Years later, these overlooked cents began attracting serious attention from collectors, with certain verified error examples now valued between $36,500 and $110,750. By 2012, the Lincoln 1-cent penny was already more than a century old as a design concept, yet it continued to evolve in subtle ways. The coin still featured the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a symbol deeply embedded in American culture. Despite the familiarity of the design, the minting process behind these coins remained complex, involving high-speed presses, precision dies, and massive production volumes. When any part of that process malfunctioned, even briefly, it could create a coin that stood apart from the rest. The 2012 Lincoln cent was primarily composed of zinc with a thin copper plating, a format used for decades. This layered construction, while cost-effective, introduced specific vulnerabilities. One of the most notable errors found on some 2012 pennies involves plating issues. In these cases, the copper layer was either improperly bonded, partially missing, or unevenly applied. As a result, parts of the coin may appear silvery, dull gray, or patchy instead of the normal copper tone. These plating errors are among the most visually striking and immediately recognizable defects from this year. Another significant error category includes off-center strikes. These occur when the blank planchet is not properly aligned within the striking chamber. When the dies come down, the design is impressed only partially, leaving blank metal visible along one edge. On some 2012 pennies, the off-center strike is dramatic enough that parts of the date or lettering are missing entirely. Coins with a clear date and a strong off-center strike are especially desirable, as they balance readability with obvious error characteristics. Double die errors have also been confirmed on select 2012 Lincoln cents. These errors originate during the die creation process rather than during the striking itself. When a die receives more than one misaligned impression, it transfers that doubling to every coin it strikes. On affected 2012 pennies, collectors may observe doubling on the word Liberty, the motto In God We Trust, or the date. Under magnification, the separation between the letters becomes clear, confirming that the effect is not simple wear or damage. Die cracks and die breaks are another fascinating aspect of 2012 penny errors. As dies are used repeatedly, metal fatigue can develop. Small cracks form and gradually expand, leaving raised lines on the coins they strike. Some 2012 pennies display dramatic die breaks that cut across Lincoln's portrait or extend through the lettering. In extreme cases, large sections of raised metal appear, creating bold and unusual textures that instantly draw attention. The reverse side of the 2012 penny, which features the Union Shield design, also presents its own set of error possibilities. Weak strikes on the reverse can leave shield lines faint or incomplete. In some cases, entire sections of the shield appear blurred or missing, while the obverse remains sharply struck. This imbalance suggests uneven pressure during striking and adds another layer of intrigue for collectors examining the coin closely. Weight variations further enhance the appeal of certain error pennies from 2012. Because of the zinc core and copper plating, even small inconsistencies in metal flow or bonding can alter the coin's weight. Coins that fall noticeably outside the standard weight range often signal the presence of internal errors, such as incomplete plating or improper planchet preparation. These differences are usually confirmed using precise digital scales and professional evaluation. Condition plays a crucial role in determining the final value of a 2012 Lincoln penny error. Coins that show minimal wear, sharp details, and original luster command significantly higher prices than those that circulated heavily. When a strong error is paired with near-perfect preservation, the result can be extraordinary. Certified examples in high mint state grades are the ones that reach the upper end of the $110,750 valuation range. Certification itself is a major factor in the modern numismatic market. Professional grading services authenticate the error, assess the condition, and encapsulate the coin in a protective holder. For collectors and investors, this certification provides confidence and establishes credibility. A certified 2012 penny error is far more likely to achieve a high price at auction than an uncertified example, even if the error appears similar. What makes the story of the 2012 Lincoln cent especially compelling is how recent it is. Unlike classic errors from the early 20th century, these coins are still being discovered today. Many were pulled from everyday circulation or found in rolls obtained from banks. This modern treasure hunt aspect keeps interest high and encourages collectors to continue checking even the most ordinary-looking pennies. Auction records reflect growing demand for these modern error coins. As awareness spreads and more collectors enter the market, competition increases. Strong error types with clear visual impact and professional certification have shown steady appreciation. The value range of $36,500 to $110,750 demonstrates that modern coins, when rare enough, can rival the prices of much older numismatic pieces. It is important to remember that not every 2012 Lincoln penny is valuable. The vast majority are standard coins worth only face value. The challenge lies in recognizing the difference between genuine mint errors and damage that occurred after the coin left the mint. Scratches, corrosion, and heat damage are often mistaken for errors, which is why education and expert consultation are essential. Beyond money, these error pennies represent moments when precision briefly failed in a highly controlled environment. They are physical records of small disruptions in a massive production system. Each one tells a quiet story about machinery, timing, and chance, captured forever in metal. In the end, the 2012 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent penny error coin stands as a reminder that rarity is not defined solely by age. Even a modern coin can achieve remarkable significance when the right combination of error, condition, and authenticity comes together. For collectors willing to look closely, the humble penny from 2012 offers not only the possibility of substantial financial value, but also the thrill of discovering something truly unexpected hiding in plain sight. Long before anyone imagined that a single penny could rival the price of a luxury car, a small batch of coins left the presses in Denver carrying mistakes that would later shock the numismatic world. The 1972 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent penny was produced in enormous quantities, intended to be spent, lost, and forgotten. Yet a tiny fraction of these coins emerged with dramatic minting errors, transforming them into some of the most valuable modern-era Lincoln cents known today, with confirmed values ranging from $68,650 to $162,900. The year 1972 was a time of transition in the United States. The country was navigating economic pressure, inflation concerns, and changes in manufacturing efficiency. Coin production was no exception. The Denver Mint was operating at full speed, striking hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents to meet circulation demand. At the center of the design was the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a symbol that had appeared on the penny since 1909. By this point, the design felt ordinary to the public, but behind the scenes, the minting process was anything but simple. The 1972 D Lincoln cent was struck on a bronze planchet composed of approximately 95% copper, with the remainder made up of tin and zinc. This composition gave the coin its warm reddish-brown tone and a standard official weight of 3.11 grams. For collectors, this weight is more than just a specification. It is a critical diagnostic tool. Even a small deviation from 3.11 grams can indicate something unusual, such as a wrong planchet, incomplete metal flow, or an off-metal error. Precision scales often become the first line of investigation when a suspicious coin is discovered. During the minting process, blank planchets were fed into high-speed presses where engraved dies struck the design into the metal. When everything worked perfectly, the result was a clean, centered coin with crisp details. But when alignment slipped, pressure varied, or dies were flawed, errors occurred. In 1972, the sheer volume of production meant that quality control could not catch every mistake. Some flawed coins passed inspection and entered circulation unnoticed. One of the most famous and valuable errors associated with the 1972 D Lincoln cent is the double die obverse. This error originated during the die creation stage, when the die received more than one misaligned impression. The result was dramatic doubling on inscriptions such as "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date. On genuine examples, the doubling is bold and clearly separated, not flat or shelf-like. These double die cents are among the most sought-after varieties from the entire Lincoln cent series. Off-center strikes represent another major error category from this issue. These occur when the planchet is not properly seated in the striking chamber. When the dies strike, only part of the design is impressed, leaving a crescent of blank metal. The most valuable off-center 1972 D cents are those struck between 10 and 50% off-center while still showing a readable date and mint mark. These coins provide a perfect balance between visual drama and identifiable origin. Clipped planchet errors have also been documented for 1972 D pennies. These result from mistakes during the cutting of metal strips into round blanks. A curved or straight section of the coin is missing, often giving it a distinctive bite appearance. When combined with sharp details and minimal wear, clipped planchet errors can command significant premiums. Another fascinating error type involves die cracks and die breaks. As dies wore down from repeated use, stress fractures formed. These cracks transferred raised lines onto the coins they struck. Some 1972 D cents show extensive die breaks that cut across Lincoln's portrait or through the lettering. In extreme cases, large chunks of metal appear raised, creating bold and unusual patterns that are impossible to ignore. Condition plays a decisive role in determining how far a 1972 D-era penny can climb in value. Coins that remained in circulation for decades naturally show wear, reducing their appeal. However, examples that were set aside early or stored in rolls often retain sharp details and original luster. When a strong error is paired with a high mint state grade, values can approach or exceed $162,900. Professional grading and authentication are essential in this market. Third-party grading services evaluate the coin's condition, verify the error, and seal it in a protective holder. This process not only preserves the coin but also establishes trust. Collectors are far more willing to pay premium prices for certified examples, especially when dealing with high-value errors where authenticity is critical. Auction history reinforces the legitimacy of these valuations. In documented sales during the early 2000s and again in the 2010s, high-grade 1972 double-die Lincoln cents and dramatic off-center errors achieved realized prices well into six figures. Collectors were willing to pay these amounts because of the combination of rarity, visual impact, historical importance, and verified provenance. Each sale further cemented the reputation of the 1972 D-era penny as a cornerstone of modern U.S.-era coinage. What makes this coin especially compelling is how it continues to be discovered. Many examples surfaced not from elite collections, but from old jars, inherited rolls, and forgotten drawers. People who never considered themselves collectors suddenly found themselves holding something extraordinary. This ongoing possibility fuels excitement and keeps interest in the series alive. Understanding the difference between genuine mint errors and post-mint damage is crucial. Scratches, corrosion, or heat exposure can mimic certain effects but do not carry numismatic value. True errors show characteristics consistent with the minting process and are often accompanied by weight anomalies or repeating patterns across multiple examples. Beyond monetary value, the 1972 D Lincoln cent error coin represents a moment when mass production briefly faltered. It is a tangible reminder that even in an era of industrial precision, human and mechanical imperfections could leave lasting marks. Each error tells a silent story of timing, pressure, and chance that in the end. The 1972 D US Lincoln 1-cent penny error coin stands as proof that history and value can coexist in the smallest denominations. With values ranging from $68,650 to $162,900. These pennies challenge assumptions about age, worth, and significance. For those willing to look closely, weigh carefully, and research thoroughly, the humble cent from 1972 may reveal a hidden legacy far greater than its face value ever suggested.